Welcome back to All Things Money. I'm David Blain, and we're going to wrap up today's show with a question that we received via email. So if you have questions you'd like to get answered on the show, our email is allthingsmoney@dlblain.com. If you just send us an email with your question or comment, we'll try to get it on a future show. So our question tonight, came from a call. Obviously, we're in the business of investment management, and we get a lot of calls from prospective people wanting to hire us for our services. And one of the questions that we get from time to time is, what is the difference between when you're evaluating an advisor to help manage your finance or invest your money for you, what's the difference between a broker and an investment advisor? And that's a great question. It's a question that has prompted a lot of confusion in America. The public, even the regulators don't fully understand it. Some of the regulators from the SEC that regulate us, they are not, believe it or not, well versed in the differences. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time tonight talking about the difference between a broker and an investment advisor and why that's important to you. Now first, let me say that I have a lot of friends in this industry that are both independent advisors like myself, as well as brokers that work for major brokerage firms. And there are good people in all walks of the investment industry. It's just that sometimes the structure in which they operate in doesn't allow them to serve the clients in the best way. And what do I mean by that? There's two basic camps on this argument. The first side is the brokers. They are held to what's called a suitability standard. That when they make a recommendation to a client that they invest in XYZ stock or XYZ fund, that investment at the time had to be suitable for that person. Meaning that if it's a 80-year-old lady living on a fixed income, probably do not want to put all her money in a speculative biotech company that has no revenue. That would not be suitable for her. And so that's the standard. Once they make the recommendation, if it was suitable at the time, they are under no obligation to monitor that investment or advise the client if it is no longer suitable for them. It's a completely different standard. A registered investment advisor, however, has what's called a fiduciary standard, a fiduciary obligation to the client. And that is, its roots come from trust law, such as a trustee has a fiduciary obligation to the beneficiaries of a trust. That's where that's rooted in. And so what we see is these two camps on the broker side, or you may hear people call them the wirehouse side. You'll hear the argument, well, we're part of a massive global firm. We have access to every product in our research departments and this and that. And that's fine, but the reality is the major brokerage firms at Wall Street are what I would call a distribution network. They are a distribution network for the products generated by other companies on Wall Street. And that may be a little straightforward or a little harsh reality for some people, but that is the case. That the individual broker sitting in his office may not view it that way, but certainly at the upper levels of management at your major brokerage firms, the brokers are viewed as a distribution force for products that are created or marketed by the firm. That's a lot different. Of course, on the independent side, people like me, we argue that, well, we're independent. We try to be free of conflicts. We work for our clients. And there are certainly bad people on both sides. Bernie Madoff was a registered investment advisor just like I am. In his case, he happened to own the broker-dealer and the investment advisory firm, which is what got him into trouble. So I'm certainly not saying that every investment advisor out there is better, but as a way of doing business, it's designed to put the advisor on the same side of the table as the client, as opposed to the brokerage world where they only have to be suitable. An investment advisor has a legal fiduciary requirement to put the client's interest above their own. And I think that's an important distinction when looking at hiring someone to manage your money. Some of the other things, the investment advisory rules prohibit things like self-dealing, meaning that the investment advisor cannot profit in any way from the advice or recommendation that is given to a client. And so you'll see you can't accept commissions or remuneration for advising a client to invest in a particular product. You don't see it a lot with individual stocks, but certainly in the mutual fund world, there are a lot of potential for abuses because of some of the payments that the mutual fund companies can pay to advisors for placing them in a product. Just about anyone out there can claim to be a financial advisor, whether their primary business is insurance or mutual funds or annuities. The term financial advisor has become so corrupted that it really is sort of meaningless. And when people are investigating us or anyone else, we encourage them to dig into how is the person compensated. For example, a broker is paid by the brokerage firm. An investment advisor is paid by the client. Once again, trying to put the investment advisor on the same side of the table as the client. There are no ongoing requirements for a broker once a product is sold to a client. Now, obviously, from a business standpoint, they want to keep that customer as a customer, and so they may continue to follow up and advise them whether that investment is still suitable. But it's important to know that there's no legal requirement for them to continually update their recommendation to the client. That once they have recommended something and the client has purchased it, their obligation essentially ends at that point. With an investment advisor, it does not. They have an ongoing fiduciary requirement. And so as part of the financial reform that's going on today, and this is something that all consumers should be aware of, is there's a big push to either lower the fiduciary standard, i.e. make it not so high of a standard for everybody so that the brokers can deliver financial advice in the same way that they always have been doing without getting into increased regulation. In fact, there's what's called the Merrill Lynch rule that's been in effect for a while that has exempted brokers from the investment advisor rules, even though that they're giving investment advice. And so when you're out there looking for a financial advisor, my advice is just simply make sure you understand who you're talking to, how they're compensated, and who they truly work for. So that's about all the time we have for this edition of All Things Money. Once again, our number is 633-0107. Feel free to give us a call. For All Things Money, I'm David Blain.
The proceeding was a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Inner Banks Media.